Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to our channel, Digital Future AI School. Kindly subscribe our channel, like and share with friends. And this is the episode 18 and chapter 18 of Book AI, Your Smartest Partner in Life and Work, written by Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir. Welcome everyone to the deep dive. Today we are undertaking a really systematic exploration of some source material that focuses on one of the most fundamental shifts in, well, governance and society.
It's a huge topic.
It is. We're talking about the profound transformation of the legal world, of justice systems and our courts, all driven by artificial intelligence. We're really looking at what the source material from Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir calls a whole new legal paradigm.
And that's such a powerful way to frame it. It really sets the stage perfectly for our mission today. Yeah. For you, our listener, the learner, we want to contextualize the sheer scope of this change.
Right.
I mean, this isn't just about some faster software in a law office. It's about reshaping every single aspect of how justice is administered. We're going to trace the impact from, basic law enforcement all the way up to how judges are supported in applying constitutional law.
So we'll cover everything: legal practice, court operations, the judiciary itself,
public access to justice, and even how the state governs. It is that broad.
The core takeaway then for you is strategic. This deep dive is designed to give you a shortcut, a kind of practical roadmap to understanding exactly how lawyers and judges and, frankly, entire legal institutions must adapt.
Right, how they need to prepare for this AI-driven era.
It's not just about the tools, is it? It's the seismic shift in professional strategy that they enable.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start where, every legal career begins, with the lawyer's individual workload and this revolutionary new toolkit that AI provides.
Great place to start. So, Section 1, the AI Legal Toolkit. Let's start with the cornerstone of legal practice: research. Historically, this has been the time sink, the money pit, the real grind of legal discovery. The source material claims AI is the greatest legal research tool ever invented.
Yeah.
That's a bold claim.
It's bold, but I think it's accurate when you contrast the old way with what's possible now. I mean, think about traditional legal research.
Yeah.
That process required a lawyer or maybe a whole team of paralegals to spend hours, sometimes days or even weeks.
That's in the library.
Exactly. Painstakingly going through maybe 50 or 60 physical case files.
Yeah.
Or, digital ones. They were manually indexing everything, meticulously reading head notes and digests, which are just summaries to begin with, and then having to mentally cross-reference precedents. It was incredibly intensive work.
And prone to error, I imagine.
Hugely prone to human error. Exhaustion is a real factor. You miss one key case from a higher court, and your entire argument could be undermined.
Right, the stakes are massive, so what's the new way?
The new way. Well, AI takes that entire comprehensive workload, all that intellectual and physical effort, and it just compresses it. We're talking about handling the reading, the indexing, the comparison, the synthesis of, thousands of documents in mere minutes.
Minutes. That's not just an improvement, that's a total paradigm shift.
It is. This changes the entire economic structure of legal practice. Lawyers using these tools are demonstrably faster, they're sharper in their arguments, and they are exponentially more effective.
Let's move beyond just the speed, though. Let's talk about the depth of the analysis. Where does the real aha moment come in for a lawyer using this kind of tech for research?
The depth is really the most surprising part. So take the ability to summarize massive judgments. If you're dealing with, say, a constitutional case that's hundreds of pages long, AI can instantly boil that down to its core holdings.
Filtering out all the noise.
Right, the procedural history, the secondary arguments, all of that. But the real insight, the aha moment, comes from the extraction of core legal principles. It's not just summarizing, it's identifying the ratio disidentity, the actual binding rule of law, even when it's buried deep within these complex, verbose judicial opinions.
So it's like having this omniscient senior partner who's read every relevant case in history and can just point to the one line you need.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And then you get to the comparison capabilities. A human might compare, 20 cases? AI can compare 20,000. It instantly identifies these subtle contradictions or deviations in how a law has been applied.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. In, say, property law, maybe a high court interpreted a specific clause differently in two cases that seem really similar, but they were 5 years apart. A human might never spot that without months of dedicated work. AI surfaces it instantly.
So the lawyer's job shifts. They're spending less time finding the law and more time actually arguing the philosophy and the policy behind its application, using the AI's data as their foundation.
That's the strategic implication, exactly. And one more thing, AI excels at classifying complex issues and analyzing tiny fact patterns across these huge data sets. If you have a big commercial case with thousands of emails and contracts, the AI doesn't just read them. It categorizes the fact patterns, who knew what, when, under what obligation, and lets the lawyer build the narrative based on statistical relevance, not just selective reading.
It turns preparation from an archival task into a strategic modeling exercise.
You've got it. That's the leap.
Okay, so moving from discovery to creation, AI drafting. This is often seen as the low-hanging fruit, the easiest application. It sort of steps in as this new, super-powered legal assistant. What's the practical range here? What can it actually generate?
The range is incredibly practical, and it covers the entire life cycle of a case. We're seeing AI reliably generate foundational documents like complex writ petitions, appellate submissions, and all the various motions you need during litigation.
And the more routine stuff.
Oh, absolutely. It handles routine but essential communications like formal legal notices, detailed written arguments, and even complex contracts. On the procedural side, it can draft affidavits, declarations, comprehensive summaries for judges. It's very, very versatile.
I was really struck by the source mentioning it could generate things like cross-examination questionnaires. That feels like it goes way beyond just filling in a template. That requires some level of predictive strategy.
It does, and it uses the same analytical power we were just talking about for research. Having analyzed all the evidence, the AI can structure a logical, probing set of questions tailored to a specific witness or a specific document. It can identify the factual gaps or contradictions and then generate questions designed to close those loopholes.
So it turns cross-examination prep from a creative, subjective task into something more data-informed and objective.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, this sounds incredible for efficiency, but let's pump the brakes a little.
This brings us to the critical human oversight that's still needed. If the AI is so good at drafting, what's the specific role left for the human lawyer?
The role has shifted, fundamentally. The lawyer is no longer the primary generator. They are the expert auditor and the strategic refiner. AI accelerates the drafting, turning maybe a 2-week task into a 2-hour draft. But the human must always refine it.
And we're not just talking about spell check here.
Not at all. The lawyer is still absolutely essential for the strategic decisions, for the nuanced legal interpretation, and for ensuring complete factual accuracy, especially in high-stakes litigation. The human is the final backstop.
So where are the specific failure points in an AI-generated draft? Where does the human need to be most vigilant? They generally fall into 2 big categories: interpretation and context. With interpretation, you have to remember the AI works on probability. It chooses the most common or statistically likely legal phrase. But a human lawyer understands the unique strategic angle needed for that client in that jurisdiction, maybe even for that specific judge.
So the AI might produce something technically correct but strategically wrong.
Exactly. It could generate a beautifully structured document but misinterpret the underlying facts, or use a precedent that's technically still good law but has been tacitly superseded in practice. In that case, the draft is worse than useless. It's actively misleading.
The lawyer becomes the ultimate safeguard. Their intellectual function has shifted entirely. They're not focused on generating the initial text, but on intensely scrutinizing, challenging, and strategically optimizing what the AI produced.
That's it, precisely. The tech provides the speed and the structure. The human provides the strategic depth, the ethical awareness, and the accuracy check that protects the client. And remember, if a mistake is made, the liability still rests squarely with the human lawyer who signed off on it.
That raises the stakes for critical review, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
That focus on strategic review leads us perfectly into courtroom preparation. If AI can handle research and drafting, how does it give a real competitive advantage when lawyers are actually preparing for trial or for complex hearings?
The competitive edge is profound. Lawyers who integrate AI into their prep are essentially doing a kind of pretrial strategy simulation that was logistically impossible a few years ago. They are operating with a level of statistical foresight that manually reliant firms simply can't match.
It sounds like it turns case prep into a competitive sport with a huge technological handicap. So let's break down those strategic functions. How exactly is AI assisting a lawyer in the deep dive of preparing a case?
Well, it starts with a comprehensive case strength analysis. By comparing the current facts and evidence against thousands of historical judgments, the AI can gauge the statistical likelihood of success on key motions or even on the overall case.
And it flags weaknesses too, I assume.
Instantly. And that's crucial. It can tell a lawyer, look, Based on these specific facts, 85% of similar cases failed on the issue of jurisdiction.
And that kind of predictive insight lets a lawyer preemptively shift their resources to shore up that weak point or even pivot the whole argument.
Absolutely. Then it helps in structuring compelling arguments by modeling different approaches. It uses statistical models to predict not just the judge's likely ruling, but also the opposing counsel's counterarguments. It runs scenarios.
What do you mean scenarios?
It might say, if we argue point X, the defense will likely argue point Y based on historical precedent Z, so we need to have responses A and B ready to go.
So the lawyer walks into the courtroom having already played the case 20 different ways against an AI opponent.
That's a great analogy. It allows for a level of contingency planning that just vastly increases how prepared they are. Beyond that, AI helps clarify complex issues. In cases with tons of financial data or medical reports, it can instantly create detailed, digestible timelines or flowcharts.
Which makes it easier to explain to a judge or jury.
Infinitely easier. And in the final phase, it generates those specific, tailored questions for witnesses, ensuring the line of questioning is robust, strategically sound, and built on the analyzed weaknesses of the other side's claims. It helps build a truly robust legal strategy.
So if AI is changing the lawyer's job so dramatically, it must be altering the judicial system itself. Let's move to our second section and look at how AI is supporting the judicial mind and revolutionizing court operations from the bench down.
Yes, the systemic impact is just as significant.
Okay, so section 2. Let's talk about AI for judges. The source material says judges are adopting this globally. Is this out of curiosity or is there a bigger driver?
It's almost entirely driven by necessity. The primary reason is the crushing, overwhelming burden of heavy caseloads and the seemingly endless quest to reduce backlogs. AI is being used as a powerful support mechanism to tackle this systemic crisis of efficiency.
So given the immense pressure judges are under, what specific support functions is AI providing that can actually alleviate that burden without, compromising the integrity of a ruling?
It starts with managing and summarizing complex evidence. Imagine a huge antitrust case or a complex financial fraud trial. The evidence can be millions of documents. AI sifts through all of it, filters out the noise, and quickly identifies the key legal issues and the specific documents that address them.
That alone must save weeks, if not months, in a big case.
Oh, absolutely. Secondly, it drastically improves the efficiency of analyzing relevant precedents. Instead of a human clerk who can maybe research a few dozen cases, AI gives the judge immediate access to the most authoritative, relevant, and up-to-date rulings from across the country or even the world.
Ensuring the judgments are legally sound and current.
Exactly. And finally, AI can assist in the initial drafting or structuring of the judgments themselves. Now, it doesn't write the reasoning, but it provides a clean, logical framework. It cites the relevant laws, summarizes key facts that the judge then populates with their official reasoning and determination.
This is where we have to bring in a really critical boundary. The source material emphasizes what it calls an inviolable rule. AI supports judicial reasoning, but it fundamentally does not replace the judicial mind and conscience. Why is that line so important?
This is the non-negotiable ethical and constitutional safeguard. What AI offers is computational certainty, statistical prediction. What a human judge offers is wisdom, the capacity for equity, the ability to consider mitigating human factors,
Gotcha.
and the conscience to apply the law in a way that serves justice, not just efficiency. If we let an AI decide guilt or innocence, we would be delegating the application of equity, a purely human concept, to a machine that only understands probability.
So the human judge is the necessary moral and constitutional filter. AI helps with the tedious legwork, but it can't make the final call because it lacks moral judgment or empathy.
Precisely. The judicial mind has to weigh the evidence, assess the credibility of a witness, which is something AI really struggles with, consider the impact of a sentence, and ensure the ruling aligns with constitutional principles of justice. AI is a powerful calculator, but it's not a judge.
Okay, so moving from the judge's mind to the courthouse itself, AI is transforming court administration. This is where we see the move to the smart courtroom, focused on efficiency and logistics.
Right, and operational efficiency is the administrative holy grail. AI fundamentally transforms court logistics, starting with the mass digitization of files. Fully paperless courts are becoming a reality.
Which eliminates clutter, speeds things up, enhances security.
All of that. And this digitization then feeds into smart scheduling algorithms.
How does smart scheduling work? Is it just avoiding double booking a room?
It's far more sophisticated. The AI optimizes the court calendar based on a complex matrix of factors: judge specialization, lawyer availability, the anticipated length of a case based on historical data, and even the availability of specific equipment. The goal is to maximize court time and minimize wasted motion.
And the practical outcome of that is huge for the public. It means fewer adjournments, which are a massive source of frustration. It just speeds everything up.
Absolutely. And moreover, AI enables real-time systemic oversight. It can track pending cases across the entire court system and monitor judge availability and performance metrics. This allows for efficient resource allocation, for managing bottlenecks before they become chronic backlogs.
And this all facilitates things like e-courts and virtual hearings.
Exactly. It converts what were often these archaic, physically constrained buildings into modern, digitized systems that can serve citizens efficiently and remotely.
So the promise is clear. Faster, fairer justice delivered through automation and optimized logistics.
That's the goal. Taking the administrative burden off human hands lets the judges and staff focus on the complex, nuanced tasks that require human judgment.
This brings us to a really fascinating and intensely debated topic: predictive justice. This is where the technology gets tantalizingly close to the core judicial function. How does AI even do this? How does it analyze decision patterns to predict outcomes?
It relies on sophisticated machine learning models, usually supervised learning models. They're trained on these vast data sets of thousands or even millions of past judgments, transcripts, sentencing records, appeal results.
A huge amount of data.
A massive amount. The AI maps the inputs, the case facts, the charge details, the defense arguments to the output, which is the final judgment or sentence. And in doing so, it identifies statistical patterns that are often completely invisible to humans.
So what kind of practical predictions can these models generate for a lawyer?
They provide predictions on really practical aspects of a case, which is gold for strategic planning. Things like the statistical likelihood of bail being granted, the expected range of punishment for a specific offense, the statistical strength of a civil claim before you even file, or the probability of an appeal being successful.
For a lawyer managing a client's expectations, that's invaluable. It improves transparency, moving it away from just anecdotal experience towards statistically informed insights.
That is the massive benefit. But, and this is a huge but, we have to constantly reinforce that this predictive power must never replace human judicial judgment.
Why not? If it's accurate, why not rely on it?
Because if judges or lawyers start treating the algorithm's prediction as a binding decree, we risk freezing the law in its past state. If we stop challenging the results predicted by history, we halt legal evolution, and more dangerously, we can reinforce historical systemic inequalities.
And that's the core of the algorithmic bias risk. It's not just that the data might be biased, it's that the bias is often systemic and hidden. For example, if a system is trained on data showing that people from certain neighborhoods historically received harsher sentences,
The AI will simply recommend that harsher outcome. It perpetuates the institutional failure. Bias is insidious. It can be related to obvious things like demographics, but also subtle things like the time of day a case was heard or the specific prosecutor involved. When the algorithm learns these correlations, it amplifies them.
So human oversight isn't just essential, it requires active auditing. What kind of mechanisms do we need to prevent this bias from becoming solidified in the system?
First, we need data transparency. Judges and auditors have to understand where the data came from and what's in it. Second, we need mandates for explainable AI, or XAI. The algorithm can't just give a prediction. It has to explain which inputs were most influential.
So if it's relying too heavily on something like the defendant's zip code.
The human judge has to be able to see that, flag it, and override the recommendation. The prediction is an input for strategic consideration, never the final determinant.
Okay, so the systemic impact of AI goes way beyond just the courtroom. Let's move to Section 3 and look at its role in public safety, investigation, and, critically, democratizing access to legal services for everyone.
Right, expanding the reach of justice.
Let's start with policing and investigation. AI seems to offer some really powerful, specialized tools for law enforcement.
Oh, absolutely. These are tools that fundamentally enhance investigative capabilities. We're talking about sophisticated systems, like advanced facial recognition that can identify suspects in real time, or crime mapping that uses predictive analytics to forecast geographical hotspots.
Allowing police to be proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly. And the applications go deep into evidence analysis. AI can sift through terabytes of digital material call records, metadata, social media posts, and find correlations far faster and more accurately than a human team.
And I imagine it's essential for fighting modern crime.
It's non-negotiable now. In specialized areas like digital forensics and cybercrime investigation, AI pattern recognition models are often the only tools capable of keeping pace with these complex criminal networks.
The source material is very clear on this next point, though. Because these applications touch on fundamental civil liberties privacy, freedom from unwarranted surveillance regulation is not optional. It is imperative. Well, what kind of societal harm are we trying to prevent here?
The potential harm is massive. Unregulated AI can lead to severe and systemic privacy violations. More dangerously, it risks the wrongful profiling of citizens based on flawed data or historical bias. We've seen high error rates in some facial recognition tech, for example.
And if the tools used by police are flawed, the entire chain of justice is compromised from the start. It could lead to wrongful convictions, erosion of public trust.
That's the core of it. Regulation has to focus on error rates, mandating transparency in the algorithms, and strictly controlling how data is used and stored to prevent both state misuse and accidental societal harm.
Now, one of the most exciting aspects of AI is its ability to expand access to justice. For people who can't afford a lawyer or live far from a courthouse, this offers a kind of virtual, affordable justice system.
This expansion is happening through several innovative virtual applications that bypass the traditional barriers of physical presence and high cost. We're seeing AI-powered online mediation platforms, for example.
How do those work?
Parties can submit their dispute, and an AI guides them through structured communication, often suggesting settlement ranges based on legal precedent before a human mediator even gets involved.
So it's streamlining the pre-litigation process for smaller disputes, like consumer claims.
Precisely. This also includes automated arbitration systems for simple contractual disputes. Virtual courts are becoming standard for minor issues, and even simpler tools like chatbot legal advisors are filling a massive gap in basic legal information.
It seems like AI is acting as a massive equalizer, democratizing legal help. Who benefits most from this shift away from the traditional high-cost model?
The beneficiaries are the groups who are typically underserved. It starts with low-income individuals who often have nowhere to turn for things like tenancy issues or small debts. It also benefits rural communities that are far from major legal centers.
And the source specifically mentions overseas citizens.
Yes, and that's a powerful example. Someone like an overseas Pakistani can now potentially access resolution for, say, a property dispute back home without the massive expense and disruption of flying back or hiring expensive international counsel.
AI is breaking down geographical and economic barriers.
It is. By moving these standardized services online, the justice system is effectively expanding its reach to every citizen with an internet connection. It's fulfilling a key mandate of justice, universal access, and equality before the law.
Okay, we've established that AI is this powerful, non-negotiable reality in the legal world. So in our final and most crucial section, we have to look at the foundational changes needed in legal education, ethics, and infrastructure to actually navigate this new era.
Right, the path forward.
Let's start with legal education, reforming the curriculum.
The transformation has to start in law schools. The future lawyer requires what the source calls dual competency. They have to be equally proficient in the fundamental principles of law and the rapidly evolving landscape of technology. Being tech illiterate is no longer just a disadvantage. It's a critical professional deficiency.
So if we were redesigning the law school curriculum today, what are the specific subjects that absolutely have to be integrated?
Okay, first, AI literacy must be mandatory. And I don't just mean teaching students how to use a tool like ChatGPT. I mean teaching them how these systems, the large language models, the supervised learning algorithms, actually work. Understanding their limitations, their inputs, how to audit their outputs.
So they can challenge the technology, not just use it.
Precisely. This has to be paired with rigorous training in legal data analytics, how to interpret the massive data sets AI processes, and of course practical skills for the digital courtroom. Specialized courses in cyber law covering data governance and digital evidence. And virtual court practice has to be taught. Moot court exercises need to move into simulated e-courts, so they learn the protocols of digital hearings and e-filing.
And the ethical framework around all of this seems paramount.
It's the foundation. There has to be a critical focus on algorithmic bias, teaching future lawyers how to spot it, how to challenge it in court. And practical skills like AI-assisted legal drafting techniques have to be mandatory, shifting the focus from the labor of writing the first draft to the strategic skill of refining the machine's output.
When AI is integrated into these systems, fundamental constitutional rights are immediately at stake. The courts have to ensure AI enhances justice, not compromises those rights. What are the specific principles that courts have to rigorously protect?
Every foundational right has to be preserved above technological expediency. Courts must ensure AI respects due process, the right to understand and challenge the evidence against you. They must protect privacy in an era of mass data collection and rigorously enforce non-discrimination and equality before the law.
What about transparency? That seems tough when you're dealing with proprietary algorithms.
It's vital. Citizens and their lawyers have to have a pathway to challenge how an algorithm works when it informs a judicial decision. AI can't be allowed to undermine judicial independence. And of course, robust data protection policies are a must. A technology that diminishes constitutional protections for the sake of speed is a failure of justice.
So courts can't be reactive here. They have to proactively develop these frameworks. What specific institutional mechanisms are needed?
First, courts need to quickly develop and implement clear AI ethics guidelines and mandatory transparency rules. Second, oversight mechanisms are mandatorily independent bodies that monitor the deployment and impact of AI across the system. And crucially, courts have to require developers to use unbiased, representative datasets.
Because if the input data is skewed, the system is fundamentally unjust from the start.
Exactly. The human input and the data source are the weakest points. And above all, the guiding principle must be that human dignity remains at the center of all AI-driven legal systems.
Okay, let's bring this back to the individual professional. We've talked about the new curriculum, the ethical rules. If you are a lawyer preparing for the next decade, what are the 5 key attributes required to thrive?
The lawyer of tomorrow will embody this deliberate combination of technical skill and uniquely human abilities. First, and this is non-negotiable, they must be tech-savvy, proficient at using AI for research, drafting, analysis, comfortable with digital evidence, all of it.
Second, building on that, they must be strategically superior.
This is where human intelligence maximizes the AI's output. They use the AI insights not just to collect data, but to construct stronger, more coherent, statistically informed cases. The AI gives them the data, but the human determines the strategy.
Attribute 3, highly ethical. This takes on a new weight, doesn't it?
Absolutely. They have to be the gatekeepers, navigating the complexities of digital evidence collection, ensuring client privacy, and rigorously auditing the tools they use for potential bias.
Then there's emotionally intelligent. Why is this more critical now that machines are doing the calculation?
Because AI fundamentally cannot replicate empathy, trust, or persuasion. The lawyer provides the human connection, the counsel, the deep, trusting relationship clients need. That human element becomes the ultimate professional differentiator.
And finally, multidisciplinary. They can't just live in legal texts anymore.
No. Today's legal problems involve complex data, global finance, novel technologies. The future lawyer has to understand the intersection of law with technology, economics, and international governance. The conclusion is clear. The lawyer who combines AI tools with sophisticated human judgment will be, well, unstoppable.
Let's visualize the end state. What does the fully integrated AI-augmented court system of 2030 actually look like?
It's a vision of efficiency, speed, and absolute accessibility. The cornerstone is the fully paperless court. Digital case files replace all the physical clutter.
And in the courtroom itself.
You'll see judges instantly accessing documents on tablets, augmented by real-time AI translations for multilingual proceedings. Every spoken word is captured by voice-to-text courtroom transcription, providing instant searchable records.
And administratively.
Much smoother. Smart scheduling systems minimizing delays. Judges will have automated research assistants integrated into their case management systems. And we'll see predictive backlog analysis, where the system anticipates future choke points and suggests resource changes before a delay even happens. The outcome is courts that are faster, more efficient, and dramatically more accessible.
It's vital to ground this transformation in specific contexts, especially for legal systems facing huge structural challenges. Let's look at how this shift aligns with the Islamic perspective and the unique opportunity it presents for a legal system like Pakistan's.
From an Islamic perspective, the ethical application of AI aligns profoundly with core judicial values. Islamic jurisprudence strongly emphasizes adl, justice, ihsan, equity, accountability, and transparency. When AI is used correctly, it becomes a powerful means to fulfill these Quranic principles.
How so? How does the technology specifically fulfill those principles?
It does so by fighting the greatest enemy of justice, which is delay and human error. AI can eliminate injustice caused by bureaucratic bottlenecks, reduce delay, support the weak who lack resources, and strengthen due process through meticulous automated record keeping.
Now, let's focus on the practical challenges in a system like Pakistan's, which the source highlights. What are the systemic issues that AI offers a unique solution for?
The challenges are immense. A massive backlog of cases, pervasive delays in proceedings, a chronic shortage of researchers, and inefficient paper-based filing processes. It's a system that is, frankly, ripe for this kind of transformation.
This is where the idea of the leapfrog potential comes in. Instead of slow, incremental improvements, AI offers the ability to jump straight to a modern digital standard.
That's the opportunity. AI provides immediate solutions. It can support modern e-filing systems, generate automated cause lists or dockets, and enable sophisticated case categorization to get complex cases to the right judge. And beyond that, it allows for rule-based decision support for routine administrative issues, freeing up human staff. Critically, it can modernize police investigation with advanced digital forensics. With targeted investment and careful ethical governance, a system facing these manual inefficiencies can rapidly transition to a 21st century judicial system.
A system that's fair, fast, and transparent.
Exactly, fulfilling the mandate of justice that systems like Pakistan's desperately need. So as we conclude this intensive deep dive, the core message is really clear and unified. AI is not an impending competitor to the legal or judicial profession. It's an indispensable tool designed to support the human elements of justice. It's here to enhance reasoning, improve research, speed up the process, and ultimately strengthen the courts.
The power of this technology and the strategic advantage it provides, it's undeniable. But the final balance is the most critical lesson here. We have to reiterate that concluding principle. AI is not here to replace judges or lawyers, it's here to help them. Justice must always remain human-led, ethically grounded, and constitutionally protected to serve the citizens.
We have spent this time exploring how AI is fundamentally transforming our institutions and our professions. But now, we circle back to the individual at the center of this revolution. The next logical question for you, the learner, to mull over, is how AI reshapes the human mind, our creativity, our thinking processes, and our psychological development.
Right. As we delegate more and more of this intellectual labor to the machine, what questions does that raise about dependency, about the atrophy of our own cognitive skills, and really about the future of human critical intelligence?
It's a profound question to consider.
It is a crucial, high-stakes question. How do we maintain our intellectual sovereignty in a world of instantaneous answers? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of law and justice. We hope you feel strategically prepared for the challenges and opportunities of the new legal paradigm.